Welcome to The Explainer. I am beyond excited to take you on a truly fascinating deep dive today. We all spend massive chunks of our lives browsing the web, right? And if you follow digital trends at all, you probably already get the basic mechanics of SEO and search algorithms. But today we're going to push way past those surface-level definitions. We are looking at the architectural reality of how a crawl actually executes. We're going to unpack the exact digital blueprint of the internet to understand how a search engine bot physically interacts with your server, parses your code, and maps out a whole website. This is the foundational, completely invisible infrastructure of digital discoverability. So have you ever wondered what actually happens when Google visits a website for the very first time? Just think about the sheer scale of the internet for a second. There are literally trillions of individual web pages out there, with millions more being published, updated, and deleted every single day. It's pure, unadulterated chaos. Yet somehow, order is brought to that chaos with lightning speed. Today, we're going to take a guided tour behind the digital curtain to see exactly how this highly systematic, incredibly resource-intensive process unfolds. Section 1. The digital visitor arrives, entering the building. Okay, let's dive into this overarching metaphor to really lock down how this complex architecture works. Instead of just thinking about abstract code, servers, and network requests, I want you to imagine a website as a massive, physical, multi-story building. And just like any huge physical building, it needs to be actively navigated. The main character in our story, the entity doing the actual navigating, is the search engine bot. Think of Googlebot or Bingbot. In our metaphor, this bot is the visitor. Now, this isn't just a simple script. These modern visitors are backed by massive, globally distributed server clusters that are constantly fetching, rendering JavaScript, and parsing raw HTML. We're going to follow their exact footsteps to understand how they map out the digital architecture of the web. Section 2. Meet the Receptionist, the robots.txt file. Think about what happens when you enter a massive, highly organized corporate building for the very first time. You don't just start blindly wandering down random hallways and opening closed doors, right? No way. Your very first stop is always the front desk. Well, our digital visitor behaves in the exact same way. In technical terms, the very first thing a bot requests from your server is the robots.txt file. Conceptually, this file serves the exact same function as a strict receptionist at the main entrance. It's the gatekeeper. And what's super fascinating here is that this receptionist uses things called user agents, meaning they can actually have completely different sets of rules depending on exactly which bot just walked through the front doors. The primary job of this receptionist is to hand over some highly specific, absolutely crucial instructions to our visitor. The robots.txt file immediately tells the bot which areas it's allowed to enter and which private or restricted areas it should absolutely avoid at all costs. And the reason this matters so much for an advanced web strategy comes down to a concept called crawl budget. Search engines do not have infinite resources. They literally only have a limited amount of time to spend in your building. The receptionist uses disallow directives to block off things like admin logins, duplicate tag pages, or infinite faceted navigation. This basically ensures the visitor doesn't waste their precious limited time wandering through useless utility closets when they really should be looking at your most important content. Section 3, checking the directory. The XML sitemap. So, the visitor has been graded by the receptionist, and the ground rules for the crawl budget have been firmly set. But they still need to figure out where the most important rooms actually are. Picture our digital visitor walking away from the reception desk and stepping right up to a massive building directory in the lobby. This is your XML sitemap. It contains a nicely organized list of the specific pages the website owner actively wants discovered. But it isn't just a static list of URLs. A properly optimized directory also includes metadata, like the last mod tag, which tells the visitor exactly when a specific room was last renovated or updated. This is a massive signal. It helps the bot prioritize what absolutely needs to be crawled today versus a room that, hasn't changed in 6 months. Section 4, exploring the building, from the homepage to the hallways. Now the energy really picks up. Armed with the rules from the receptionist and the priority layout from the directory, our digital visitor finally pushes through the main entrance, which is your homepage, to explore the actual content. Once inside, the bot relies entirely on your internal linking architecture to move around. Think of links as the physical hallways connecting the different rooms of your building. A visitor can only discover a product page or a blog post if there is a hallway leading directly to it. If you have an incredible piece of content but no other page links to it, that is what we call an orphaned page. In our metaphor, it's a room with no doors and no hallways attached to it. It really doesn't matter how great the content inside is, the visitor will never ever find it. Now, what's really interesting about this systematic progression is how perfectly we can map out the comprehensive journey we just took. It follows a strictly chronological 5-part flow. Step 1, consulting the robots.txt for the rules. Step 2, reading the sitemap.xml for the layout. Step 3, entering the homepage. Step 4, navigating the internal pages through links. And Step 5, discovering deeper, nested content. But what is truly mind-blowing about this whole process is that it's not a one-time event. It is a massive, cyclical loop. The exact moment the bot finishes Step 5 and uses up its allocated crawl budget, the whole cycle restarts. It continuously goes back to Step 1 to see if the receptionist has new rules, or if the directory shows newly updated rooms. It's just a non-stop, 24/7 process of digital discovery. Now, here is where we need to draw a very hard, critical line between two completely different concepts: crawling and indexing. As our visitor walks through the hallways and enters different rooms, it's constantly rendering code and collecting information. But just because the visitor explores a room, meaning they crawled it, does not guarantee they'll actually take that information back to Google's master index. If the visitor walks into a room and finds that it's low quality, completely empty, mostly duplicated from another room, or if there's a literal no index sign hanging on the door, the visitor simply ignores it. Crawling is just the act of exploration. Indexing is the entirely separate, highly selective process of deciding if that room is actually valuable enough to show to a human being. Section 5. The recap. Your digital building. So, the crucial point is we need to synthesize all of this technical ground into a framework you can actually use. Understanding this structure is absolutely key to mastering digital discoverability. The robots.txt is your receptionist. You need to make absolutely sure they aren't accidentally turning your VIP visitors away at the door and ruining your crawl budget. The sitemap.xml is your building directory. Keep those last mod tags perfectly accurate so bots know what to prioritize. The homepage is your main entrance, setting up the critical internal linking hallways to prevent those dreaded orphaned pages. And the crawler? That's the visitor, constantly looping through your architecture, deciding whether your rooms are actually high quality enough to be indexed. Which brings us to the end of our explainer, but I want to leave you with a provocative thought to evaluate your own digital properties. If a search engine bot visited your digital building today, what would it find? Would your receptionist give clear directions? Is your directory properly prioritized? Are there dead-end hallways leading to nowhere? Keep those architectural questions in mind the next time you think about how the web actually works. Thanks for exploring with me.